Well, it's July heat, humidity, and occasional rounds of severe weather that we'll have to deal with over the next few days. And let's march through the weekend so we can get it out of here and get some dry air to come into the Northeast. And that might happen late in the weekend and early next week. So we'll talk all about that and whatever else comes to mind on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, Joe, at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in lovely
West Babylon
New York and Southwest Suffolk,
County,
serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut
Tri-State area.
with everything you need, including mulch, topsoil, and sand. And remember that it is hurricane season, and you want to make sure you're prepared in case we do get a tropical storm or hurricane this year. 631-756-1125. Nowhere can you find better prices, and the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
And our affiliate Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. By the way, on my Tempest today, Joe, I had the highest temperature of the summer season so far, 90.5 today.
Wow.
Yes. The link is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this video. And use the coupon code I want a weather station. And you get
10% off.
You do, yes. Yeah, 90.5 after a low this morning of 61. The mornings are so nice, though, I have to say. Yeah, is it me? I seem to, you and I grew up, almost blocks from each other, even though we didn't really know each other until, bless you.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Yes.
Is it me, or do you receive? I seem to remember in our younger days, Joe, that in the summertime, it would still get down into at least it would get down into the mid and upper 60s at night. I don't think that happens much anymore we lived in the Bronx, but, you'd get the occasional nights where temperatures didn't break below 70, but you did get a fair number of nights in the summertime where the Central Park lows were 67, 68. Doesn't seem to happen anymore.
Well, every once in a while, we would get a rare night when temperatures, especially in August, would get down into the 50s. I seem to remember a lot more of those exceedingly warm nights where step outside at 11 o'clock at night, it was still close to 90 degrees. And I do remember a lot of those nights.
Yeah, no, there were those too. There definitely were those too.
Yeah.
I spent too much time out in the sun today. I was finally finished all the landscaping that I've been doing for the last 40, what is it, July 4th? Today's what? So 26 plus 26, 52 days of working in my yard landscaping. Now, and I have, almost 2 acres of land here, so I landscaped a full acre of it. So it's finally done, but I think I spent too much time out in the sun because when I did my Weather in a Minute video, I said it was Thursday instead of Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, I just had no concept whatsoever. So, my mind is all over the place today. So,
but you told me before we started, that you did all this work today and
yes.
It was 90 degrees at your house, which is very unusual, being 2,200 feet up. And you were kind of weary and bad. So what I said, I'll tell everybody right off the bat. I said, let's make tonight a shorter show.
Oh, we'll make it a shorter show. All right, we could do that.
8 o'clock, 8:05. Time to go nighty night, sleepy by Mr. Cioffi.
Yes, and I was up before 5 this morning, so I am kind of,
Pooped.
Yes, pooped. Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight. Welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background because we know you're there. But you can join the chat board conversation by simply subscribing to my YouTube channel with your Gmail account and turn your notifications on. Why? This way you never miss the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is on Monday through Thursdays at 7:35 p.m., Sundays at 11 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays we are off, so we can get 2 days to recharge our batteries. However, rest assured that there should be an apocalypse on either one of those days. Joe and I will see to it that we are here doing a show. This week we mentioned yesterday, so tomorrow there's no show tomorrow night. As I have a personal engagement to attend, so we're gonna have a 3-day weekend. So after tonight, we will see you Sunday morning at 11 a.m. So I think we're still on course for tomorrow with the potential for severe weather. Also, I noticed this morning they've got a 2 to 5% tornado risk, which is not something you see very often in the Northeast. But the tornado risk is a bit on the I call it elevated.
How elevated?
Well, 2 to 5%. I mean,
we said yesterday we were debating in this broad area of slight risk tomorrow whether or not they would stick in maybe an enhanced zone. Do you still think that might be a possibility, or?
I think it's possible. I think they didn't do it today, so they may do it tomorrow morning in their forecasts.
Infinite wisdom.
Yes. Well, you know how they're glued to the Joe and Joe weather show on a nightly basis before they make their forecasts. So they certainly wait for our pontifications upon these things. But I think they may just stick it in. I don't know if it'll where. I'm going to guess if they do it, maybe they do it in parts of New England, perhaps, because that might be the area that has more wind shear with that upper trough going by, because the further south you go, there's less in the way of wind shear, so that would say there'd be less possibility of rotation. On the other hand, certainly there could be storm development down to the mid-Atlantic states where strong winds are going to be an issue, and hail.
What the hail?
Exactly. All right, well, the share button's turned on in case you feel inspired. I'm going to bring up the surface map. I noticed that this afternoon when I pulled up the high temperature map for the eastern U.S., that it made mostly upper 80s to a few low 90s. There weren't a lot of low 90s, but there were a few places that temperatures got above 90. I don't know how high you got, but and I don't even know if Central Park made it to 90 degrees today.
I think we got to like 86 or 87. It was not an overly, although I said, now that we have a dog and the dog wants to be taken out literally like every hour. I told Renata, I said, each time I took the dog out today, I could feel incrementally a little bit more uncomfortable. Not so much maybe in terms of the heat, but the humidity was way up there. I'm sure the dew point was probably close to 70. And if it wasn't at or above 70 today, it certainly will be that tomorrow and again on Friday. We've got 2 very humid, hot days coming up, near record temperatures tomorrow. Renata, I see on the chat board, 87 was our high today, and we'll be shooting for 90 tomorrow. And I tell you, Joe, I think Friday is the day. Friday's going to be the hottest day so far this year for us.
Yes.
95 probably, I think, here on Friday. Although, in thinking about it, we did hit 90 back in April. I'm not sure what the exact temperature was, but I know we had a mini, not a heat wave, but we did have a couple of days in the 90s way back in April. Well,
it did get to mid to upper 90s in parts of southeastern New England, as I recall. So they may have already gotten, technically they may have already gotten their hottest temperatures of the summer if they don't take those numbers out. Yeah. I don't think they will. I mean, I went for mid to upper 90s on Friday with a west wind and sunshine, and other than a pop-up shower, other than a scattered shower or a thunderstorm, I think Friday may turn out to be not very much in terms of thunderstorm activity.
Yeah, west-southwesterly winds on Friday. Temperatures, even at the coast, even along the sound shore of Westchester, could make it to 90 degrees or 90.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, inland spots like Montgomery and Newburgh and where I live and Poughkeepsie, 95, 96. dare I say 97, and then when you factor in that 70 or 72 dew point, and you've got heat indices probably in the hundreds, low hundreds. So not a day to be out and about for any length of time on Friday, and even tomorrow ain't going to be a great day.
Yep, most of the mid and South Atlantic states, including myself here in Northeast Georgia, made upper 80s and low 90s today. It wasn't, I mean, it was humid, but it wasn't, anything. It wasn't anything terrible, at least the way it feels to me. We do have a system, complex of warm fronts and cold fronts and stationary fronts that run from western New York across southern Michigan, back down to southern Wisconsin, then kind of arcing back into northern Illinois and southern Iowa. So it's the south of this frontal boundary that we're dealing with the rounds of some showers and thunderstorms tonight and some severe weather as well. Number of areas having severe thunderstorms earlier and some having them now. Here's the satellite loop, and you'll notice where the lightning strikes are. There's hardly anything going on. There's nothing going on from Maine down into Virginia. Then you got a couple of pop-ups in North Carolina and Georgia and in the Carolina Mountains. I actually heard thunder here around 5 o'clock this afternoon. There was something in the mountains to my north, and it didn't amount to anything. It got a little dark for about 10, 15 minutes, but it didn't rain or drop. Meanwhile, you'll notice disturbed weather over Florida with some scattered showers and storms there, and off the Florida East Coast, there looks like some kind of mid-level circulation there. On the loop, you sort of see it, especially after the sunset line goes by. There's some curvature there, but it looks like it's more at mid levels than anything else, and the Hurricane Center is not really doing much of anything with it anyway. We've got some scattered showers and storms in the Rockies and back into parts of Utah and into northern Nevada and over into northern New Mexico, and we have some showers and storms brewing up in parts of the Dakotas. But here in the east, it's fairly quiet. By the way, any haze from any smoke today? Because I'm seeing a little milkiness on the satellite loop, but not a lot.
Yeah, it was a bit hazy. It was not atrociously hazy. And I'll tell you what, we had to wait until like mid-morning to see anything because we had some pretty good fog, pretty thick fog out there last night into the early part of the day today. Had to wait for all that scuzz to burn off, and then we got into kind of a hazy kind of sunshine during the late morning into the afternoon.
And you can see the lightning strikes moving into western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, northeastern Ohio. The radars will show it even better, and you see the complex here. We've got 3 severe thunderstorm warnings up at the moment as of 7:50 Eastern Time in western New York, northwest PA, and northeast Ohio. There's a few more in southeastern Michigan, and a couple of special marine warnings thrown in there in the mix. Radars are on vacation from Maine down to Virginia. We've got some spotty showers and storms in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, but really widely scattered. A couple of bands of showers moving southeastward across Kentucky, western Tennessee, into northern Mississippi and northwest Alabama, and then over the state of Florida with that little system that's offshore. It's actually triggering off some heavy downpours and probably a few heavier thunderstorms in central and south Florida with heavy rain more than anything else. And you see the stuff in the southwest, in eastern Nevada, in Utah, in Colorado, in New Mexico, much of eastern and northern Arizona, and extending up into eastern Wyoming. And here are the thunderstorms that are working their way through parts of North and South Dakota between the 2 main highways, although I know one of these is Route 80. I don't know what the other one is. But you can see the storms are kind of lying in between those two. The Storm Prediction Center working on just 1 severe thunderstorm watch, or is it 2? It looks like it might be 2. Let's refresh this and take a look. 1. Nope, it's just 1. 1 severe thunderstorm watch up in northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio, and that's it. This area was at an enhanced risk of severe weather. They kind of downgraded it to a slight risk now as we go through the evening hours. And you see marginal risk in the Dakotas, down into Nebraska. Small area of slight risk northeast Colorado. They always have to. The areas are always covering like three states: northeast Colorado, southwestern Nebraska, and northwestern Kansas. Now for tomorrow. SPC didn't really change very much here. It's pretty much the same as it was yesterday. A marginal to slight risk from northern Maine all the way down to the North Carolina state line. The slight risk cuts across the Delmarva Peninsula to northeast Virginia, then runs northeast from there into interior New England. And this comes with a two. They have a 2% tornado risk down to Route 78, New Jersey, and in northeast PA. But they've got a 5% tornado risk over Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire, and into a small portion of southern Maine. This is where, if there's going to be anywhere that they'll stick an enhanced risk, I'm thinking that's probably where they'll do it, where there's that 5% tornado risk.
Yeah, that's probably where the bullseye or the epicenter, if you want to call it that, would be for tomorrow if they do decide to pull the trigger.
Yes. And the wind is a 15% chance of 50 knots or higher. And within 25 miles of any point in there, and they do have a 5% chance that there could be some hail out of this. And
that's kind of surprising to me, because usually when you're dealing with an exceptionally hot environment, such as what we're going to be looking at tomorrow, they don't normally put any emphasis on the possibility for hail, but they've got it. So be leery of it. There could be some of that tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening.
Depending on the structure of that short wave and how cold it is aloft, I guess,
Right.
Whether it'll happen or not. For Friday, general thunderstorms from Maine down to the southern Appalachians, and we've got a marginal to slight risk from western New York and western PA westward across the lower lakes, the upper Ohio Valley, the upper Mississippi Valley, and into parts of the north central plains. So this is the setup for Friday. I'm thinking again that Friday probably produces nothing more than scattered stuff. So my guess is the vast majority of eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England folks probably won't see a thunderstorm, but just know that the risk is there.
Throw it in just for it'll be a CYA forecast.
Right. Okay. Rainfall wise, half inch to an inch and a half being indicated by our friends at WPC over much of the Great Lakes, into the mountains of West Virginia, western Pennsylvania, across Pennsylvania into New Jersey, and on up through New England. And then down along the coast of Virginia and North Carolina. But as always, you see those purple areas are all an inch and a half or better, and that includes a stripe that they've drawn over Long Island to about New York City and southern Connecticut, as well as up in northern New England and northern New York. Remember that when it's convective, local areas could wind up with double those rainfall amounts, and that's probably why WPC has, at least for tonight, it's got a slight risk of flash flooding, 15 to 40%. And this is with the area of thunderstorms moving through southern Michigan. Tomorrow, they've got a slight risk in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, western Massachusetts, and a marginal risk extending southward into northeastern Virginia. So let's say half of the slight risk severe thunderstorm area is under a marginal risk for flash flooding, and the other half is under both a slight risk for severe weather and a slight risk for flash flooding.
Just a slight risk, ladies and gentlemen.
Just a smidge.
Yes.
All right. And we also want to mention, marginal risk across Wisconsin, much of Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, and eastern Minnesota. Also in the southwest, eastern Arizona through western and central New Mexico, on up into the western part of Colorado, and a small portion of eastern Utah. This is for Friday. This is for Thursday into Friday. And then for Friday into Saturday, looking at a couple of few areas of marginal risk. The Great Lakes to well up into northern New York and northernmost Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, southern Florida, and also again in parts of Arizona and New Mexico. So the forecast logic, Joe, didn't really change very much in my mind. We've got this. It's an upper trough slash weak weather front, but it's really more aloft that's driving all this. And the GFS, for some reason, doesn't have much into mid-afternoon, and suddenly late in the afternoon and evening, you see it's kind of patchy in terms of what it generates for rainfall. Then it really, revs it up uh, during the evening hours, because now you see this is what is forecast for precip between 8 p.m. Tomorrow night and 2 a.m. Friday. So it does eventually get a line of storms to develop and move on through, but it looks like you look at this and you think it might be more later in the evening as opposed to late in the afternoon.
I
Not
was thinking about that. And in fact, I said in my Facebook forecast late afternoon, or and then for the tomorrow night, I said evening shower thunder. It could be a good part of the day tomorrow, where we're not going to see much of anything, and it's just going to be hot and humid, and we may have to wait indeed until later in the day or the first half of tomorrow night before we get anything coming down from that upper disturbance or weakening front. But the air, we said this yesterday, the air is going to be so very hot and so very humid that you really don't need much. I mean, you don't need a potent cold front. All you need is just a weak ripple, if you will, in the upper atmosphere, or just some kind of a minor disturbance to interact with that juicy air, and bang, you'll have yourself an organized area of showers and storms. And again, that would be for the latter part of the day tomorrow into tomorrow night. In situations like this, I would call these 3 to 10 storms from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock in the evening. That'll be the key time frame for any activity, I think, tomorrow. So, and don't be surprised again that SPC maybe includes parts, if not all, of the tri-state area within the boundaries of a severe thunderstorm watch.
right. And I switched over to the European because it really doesn't show anything for Friday. The GFS is kind of backed off a bit. It's still trying to bubble up some stuff, but it's more south in Maryland, Virginia, down the Appalachian Mountains to about me. And then you also see some other storms across the northwestern Great Lakes and back over to the Dakotas. That's with a cold front, which will approach on Saturday. Now, what did you think about the possibility of some severe weather on Saturday? I'm starting to wonder whether there will be. I'm starting to think that there might be some severe weather risk on Saturday with this front, particularly if we still have a west southwest wind and sunshine, so Saturday could still be on the hot side, although maybe not quite as hot as Friday. But there might be enough here with this trough and this front coming through that we could see some severe weather risk on Saturday when the front goes by.
Yeah, and this is one of those fronts that is coming down Interstate 87, if you will. And the ones that come down from the north or northwest can carry with it some rather potent storms, which may linger into the evening hours. And I would not question the possibility of possible severe weather on Saturday with that weather front. It should be moving on through during the early part of Saturday night, and hopefully, if everything keeps on moving, Joe, we'll get into a nice, drier, and more comfortable airflow in time for the latter half of the weekend on Sunday, and that'll carry right on into next week. Looking on the GFSX long-range tabular numbers for dew points, it brought a smile to my face to see that the dew points are going to stay pretty much in the 50s, at least right on through Wednesday of next week. And
well, the coolest air. Well, two things. First off, both models actually show a bit of an weak upper trough behind the front coming through on Sunday, and they do show some scattered thunderstorms, mainly north and northeast of the coast, leading one to think that maybe there might be an instability shower or a thunderstorm, and should one want to put it in the forecast, I don't know. But I'm looking here going into Monday and Tuesday, Joe, and the thickness drops to a 558, and actually the coolest air doesn't get in until Tuesday. Tuesday morning is when the coolest air, because there's The frontal boundaries down in North Carolina, there's a little wave on there, and you got a nice 1022-ish high up in right over the Upper Peninsula of Michigan near Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah, I think the coolest there. We will have reasonable dew points probably into Wednesday.
I was just thinking, I've had my air conditioning running, and thankfully, it's the kind of air conditioning system where it's on and then it goes off for a little while and then go. But I mean, if it's been pretty much in power mode since the start of the month, and it's been more for humidity as opposed to heat. And it looks like, once we turn the corner and move on into August, it's finally going to get a rest. Finally,
Yeah.
I, it's really been a long-term stretch of very uncomfortable weather. I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to live in Phoenix or Tucson, well, all of those days with temperatures that are above 100 or 110 degrees. But it's still not exactly been the best weather pattern here in the Northeast. But we're going to get into what I think will be the best weather pattern in the United States next week with that surge of much cooler air coming on in from Canada. Temperatures probably hovering close to only 80, with, again, those dew points in the 50s. So it's really going to feel
A 50 dew point on the GFS by Sunday afternoon.
uh,
A 48 dew point in New York City or in northern New Jersey Monday afternoon. 45 in central Pennsylvania. 40 dew points down into the mountains of western Virginia. 50 dew points almost to me. Then on Tuesday, Joe, a 40 dew point on the GF. Is that a 40 or a 46? I can't. I got to clean my glasses. No, I'm sorry. That's a 49 dew point in northern New Jersey, but there's a 40 dew point in western Massachusetts and upper 30s dew points up near Lake George in upstate New York. I mean,
wow.
this is a really cool push. And a solid push of dry air. And even on Wednesday morning, 40 dew points everywhere from Pennsylvania to New Jersey to Long Island, all of New England, all dew points in the low and middle 40s. And by Thursday morning, the dew point's back to 60, and then it starts to pop up there because we have another front coming through after that. But you know what? After that goes by, if the model's right, the dew points collapse again, not to the same extreme, but they go back down. So it argues that maybe it gets very warm and humid for a day or two, and then another dry air mass comes down. And I'm telling you, if we're holding this pattern that we've been in since pretty much since mid-June, if this pattern continues as we go into the month of August, these dry air masses are going to become more and more robust. They're going to become increasingly cooler. Um, you know, folks, if you want this to happen, you want the pattern to not change. You want it to stay the same.
I agree. I agree, especially get into that. It's been amazing this whole summer, at least here in this part of the country, to see uh, progression of weather systems, and also seeing how the height lines have been so, I won't say compressed or tight, but I mean, as I said, I could remember summers where you'd see only 3 or 4 height lines
Right.
on the map during those spells of 10 or 12 days of hot, humid, sticky weather. This is anything but that, or if it been anything but that. And we still have that upper level trough, or that upper level bending of the of the winds and the higher levels of the atmosphere over this part of the country, and it will be driving in that cooler air and the drier air as we move into next week.
Meanwhile, the Hurricane Center has now just gone to just showing one system, which is the one that's south and west of the Cabo Verde Islands, and they're now indicating a 40% chance that this could develop over the next 7 days. And I will tell you that both the GFS and the European do show a tropical system out there. So for the first time, the two models are showing this. So this gives you. You know the idea that a tropical storm is going to form in the long range is maybe has a higher chance now that we see it on both models. However, I will point out when you look at the upper air pattern, at least the way it's shaping up right now, troughs, yes, troughs are dropping in the east, but look how deep this is for Tuesday, August 1st. Look at this cutoff low in Labrador.
Wow.
Look how deep that trough is. I mean, that is insane for the month of for the end of July, beginning of August, and it shows strong northwesterly winds across the aloft the Great Lakes down to to South Carolina. So if there is a weak ridge out in the Atlantic, so if there is a tropical cyclone that is out there, it's going to get swallowed up by that trough, as you see here. It gets swallowed up and turns northward. Uh, Actually, on the GFS, it's east of Bermuda. I think on the European, it's weaker and it's a little bit further to the west. But yeah, the trough is in the east, but it's not in a place that would favor a storm to come up the east coast. You need that trough to be centered, axis back somewhere near the Great Lakes, down into the Ohio Valley, so that you have a southerly flow along the east coast. And it doesn't appear. I mean, it doesn't appear that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, the fact that we've
Thankfully.
the fact that we finally have the European on board with the GFS does give a little bit more credence to the possibility of some kind of a tropical cyclone out there. But again, so long as we have that very deep trough, there's no way that we're going to see any penetration, if you will, of that system anywhere near the mainland U.S. So,
yeah. All right, let's run through Briller Jeopardy. I have it tonight, so we're on the same theme, Joe. How many thunderstorms does each city average in the summer months? So everybody on the chat board, get ready. Patrick Darcy says no audio all of a sudden. Hello. No, I'm here.
Hello.
We're both here. YouTube problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Today. I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Okay, so how many thunderstorms, Joe, does each city average in the summer months? Okay, let's start with Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. He walks again by night, out of the smog into the fog, relentlessly, ruthlessly. I wonder where Ruth is. Doggedly. Never mind. I'll say 4. No, actually, no, Los Angeles?
Yeah. I have a feeling something went wrong here because the chat board just like suddenly died. Nobody's putting up anything, so I don't know what's happening.
Are we still on the air?
Yeah. Oh, here we go. It's starting now. Los Angeles, Joe.
I'll say 2.
And so does Michael McGuire, and so does Rich Rothmansky. And all three of you are wrong. Environmental Coffee House 3, Bobby Whitaker 3, Latex Dreams 2. Leon Probitsky just banged the tip jar. Thank you, Leon, for hitting Super Chat. Johnny Quest said 4, Miss Fowlerite 6, but Michael Azera, took a while, but Michael Azera hits it 1. 1.
I would believe that, yes.
Okay, so this is not going to be a small number. Miami.
Oh, Miami. Miami. I'll say 45.
You say 45.
45.
Okay.
Mr. Peters is 345.
Right. It's not. It's not a triple-digit number, folks. She meant 35. John Melander 36. Frank Scalera 58. Michael McGuire 51. Poppy Prepper 94. That's more thunderstorms. That would have to happen. You have to get 2 or 3 a day to get that. Timothy Veltman 65. Maggie P says 40. The answer, Joe, is 43.
Oh, I gave us 2 over.
It was close. Yeah, 2 over. So you're doing good tonight.
Okay.
Next is Minneapolis.
Skinneapolis?
Minneapolis.
Oh, Minneapolis. There is a place in New York called Skinneapolis.
Is there?
I think so. Or it sounds something like that. Anyway, Minneapolis. 12.
Actually, Johnny Quest already hit it. 22, and so did Norm Roberts. 22. All right, so you got. I'm saying you got 10. You probably got what? Uh, 10 steps to give for the next two. New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay. I would guess. See, now this was probably going to be the thing that's going to send the little man over the top. Um, but I would have to say New Orleans. 35.
Very close. Chuck Cardillo already got it. 36.
Wow.
36. So that leaves us with the last one, which is New York City at Central Park. So you probably have about 10 steps to give here.
New York.
New York City Central Park.
I'll say 12.
And you know what? Oh, I wish I had my Mariners bell. I could ring it. It's actually outside. You got it on the nose. 12.
Fantastic.
12. So you didn't get close to the cliff.
Ice vessel, by the way. I said Skinneapolis, but ice vessel, the Skinneateles.
I don't even know what those are.
Skinneateles, New York.
What is Skinneateles, New York?
Well, I said Skinneapolis, New York.
Oh, skinny athletes?
And it's Skinneateles.
Oh, okay. And where is that?
I don't know. I heard it once mentioned on a Bob and Ray bit.
Really? Well, I mean, there's Coxsackie.
Okay.
Which, when you have a town that's named after a children's disease, that's my kids had that. It's like it's like hoof and mouth disease.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those kids' disease. They get it at playgrounds.
Didn't one of your daughters have the croup?
Oh, my oldest daughter used to get the croup. Yeah, we had to get the croup kettle.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm exhausted. It's 8:15. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I'm so tired. Oh no, I'm never that tired. The Joe and Joe Weather Show is going to not do the sponsors. The Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system and join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is pinned at the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this video. And use the coupon code I want a weather station and you get
10% off.
And Omni True Value Hardware, your go-to place for landscaping, hardware, and, of course, making sure you got everything you need in case we do get a tropical storm or hurricane heading up the East Coast. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. They're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and beyond, tri-state area. The website is
OmniTrueValue.com. Joe, we're not here tomorrow night.
No,
we're
not
here Friday or Saturday. So I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday.
You too. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. If there's severe weather around, I'll probably I'll do my Weather in 5 video sometime during the afternoon tomorrow. But again, no live show tomorrow. We'll be back on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye.
Or Reservoir.